Bill, during your in-person interview, you shared with us the 5 deaths in the jail. So I'm glad that Ed just brought that up. You told us that 2 were suicide and 3 were natural causes. Please explain the steps that have been taken to correct the prevention of the suicide.
Well, we've been working with the county. For those who don't know, all sheriff's office facilities, as with all the constitutional officers in the county, all facilities by statute are provided by the county. So they own all the facilities or rent all the facilities on behalf of the constitutionals. So they own the jail. So we have to go through their processes, and some of the things what we're trying to do right now, and it's in design phase, is we're trying to build fencing type material for our second floor to prevent jumping. Now that's not necessarily going to prevent all deaths. As we saw just recently in Sarasota County, they had one. You know, I've said this several times that people keep pointing out the unfortunate 2 suicides that were actually able to be carried out. But last year, I recognized 15 of my jail staff for saving lives in that jail. People who were trying to commit suicide. You know, when you're dealing with mental illness and you're dealing with addiction, and they mask a lot of physical and mental ailments that the people are suffering from. So sometimes it's difficult until they're coming down off the drug before to actually determine what's going on with them. A lot of people bring up the Greg Ireland case too, because there was a response to resistance during that in which he ended up coding. He was taken to the hospital and later died. A lot of people seem to think that somebody should be culpable in that and somebody should be charged, but it was investigated. The state's attorney's office reviewed it. I watched the video for what happened. They followed the protocol, and I'm not going to charge somebody with a crime just because the people seem to think that somebody should be held culpable. We're in a society right now where we have to blame somebody, and sometimes there's nobody to blame. But that doesn't mean we can't get better with what we do. So we look at each and everything that happens within the sheriff's office.
A district medical examiner has determined that an inmate who died while in the Charlotte County Jail died from natural causes. Deputies say 47-year-old Greg Ireland of Port Charlotte was in jail for driving under the influence last August. While in jail, deputies say Ireland became unresponsive after he got into a fight with another inmate and had to be restrained. He was taken to the hospital in Punta Gorda, where he was pronounced dead.
Remember 5 people died under Charlotte County Sheriff Bill Prummell rule of the jail. We have people that are finally coming forward with stories of torture there. There was no outside investigation and no one fired. The same sadists that killed the people there are still there. We need to start contacting all the people that have been there to get their stories of what they saw and heard and experienced. Prison still deadly. Charlotte Correctional Institution no exception, despite reforms. By Ann Easker, staff writer. In June 2016, an inmate in custody of the Florida Department of Corrections, staying at South Florida Reception Center, wrote a hopeful letter to his mother. I can't believe that I am still acting like an idiot after being in prison all this time. I am really gonna get on the right track, and I really don't care where they send me as long as it's not Charlotte. Patrick Dalton, 28, had been taken to the hospital from the Charlotte Correctional Institution and then to South Florida Reception Center while on medical hold. His family was told he was transferred due to a seizure. He later told them he'd been beaten up by other inmates. In honest words, he said it was the biggest hole he's ever seen in his life, said Patrick's twin brother, William Dalton. The guards would drag you out of bed in the middle of the night and beat you. If you told anyone, they would do it all over again. Doc has no records of any altercations involving Dalton and prison guards. The only incident report they do have is from just before he was taken to the hospital, when his mother, Kathy Dalton, called to say she believed Dalton was being extorted by another inmate. See Prisons page 4. One corrections officer stated that he received information from Dalton, which he believed to be accurate, that Dalton had been beaten up by another inmate. Prison staff also noted, based on recorded phone conversations, that Dalton and his mother seemed to be conspiring to get him transferred out of CCI. It's unclear exactly what happened to put Dalton in the hospital, but his family said at South Florida Reception Center, he seemed much better and happier. However, on August 2, Dalton was transferred back to CCI. 6 days later, he was dead. Aging inmates. 7 men died at CCI in 2016, 2 more than 2015, and the highest number at least as far back as the year 2000. Warden John Willis declined an interview about the state of his prison. Doc says there's not a trend in rising fatalities. Statewide, inmate mortality increased by just 2 deaths, 354 to 356. It's important to note the inmate population is aging, department officials say. The number of elderly inmates, described as 50 and over by Doc, in the state prison system has increased steadily from 18,286 in 2012 to 22,458 in 2016, a 22.3% increase over the last 5 years, a Doc spokesperson wrote in an email. Of the 7 deaths at CCI in 2016, 4 seem to be the result of age and medical conditions. While exact causes of death are withheld due to HIPAA laws, Doc reported the deaths of Michael Guberman, 57, Willie Simpson, 49, David Sneed, 48, and Dennis White, 49, were all declared natural by the medical examiner's office. Details have yet to be released on the death of Marvin West, which was under investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, as well as the first 2017 death, that of Michael Defender Furr, 48. FDLE also investigated the unnatural deaths of Reginald Davis and Patrick Dalton in 2016. Suicide. Reginald Davis, 34, died by suicide on January 25, 2016. According to the FDLE investigative report, his death occurred while he was left alone in a shower from 1:34 p.m. to 2:56 p.m. A corrections officer discovered Davis unresponsive, hanging from the shower door by a ligature around his neck. CPR was attempted, and Davis was eventually taken to the CCI medical emergency room. When Charlotte County Fire/EMS personnel arrived, they too administered CPR along with an AED, to no avail. Davis was pronounced deceased. According to the FDLE report, it wasn't the first time Davis had attempted suicide. His wrists were marked by scarring and partly healed wounds. The conclusion to the investigation states, inmate Davis' medical records provided by the Doc OIG revealed that he had made previous suicidal threats and exhibited self-harming behavior. Doc stated in an email that its staff is required to make frequent inspections on the well-being of the inmate population, and the correctional officers are provided training on suicide prevention and intervention. None of that seemed to help in Davis' case. Doc did not answer why he was left alone in the shower for so long, or where he got the ligature he used to hang himself. Overdose in prison. Like Davis, Patrick Dalton wanted a way out of CCI. His optimistic attitude displayed in the letter penned to his mother 2 months before changed to one of desperation before his death by drug overdose, categorized by Doc as accidental. Dalton's family said they knew Dalton did drugs in prison, but he wasn't a stupid drug addict. He was more the one that would smoke pot in jail and smoke cigarettes, William said. William hadn't known his brother to do heroin before, which was found in his system after his death, along with phenobarbital and fentanyl, according to the medical examiner's report. The night of his death, Doc recorded 7 phone calls between Dalton and his family. Throughout the calls, he seemed to grow increasingly agitated, talking about needing money to pay off gang members. He said he felt guilty over the death of a friend and responsible for this guy's kid growing up without parents. He said he hated this life, he couldn't take it anymore, his hand was swollen from punching a wall. With his mother, Dalton again discussed a fake suicide attempt as a means to get out of the prison, but by morning, it's too late. A security camera installed in the dorm shows Dalton moving around from 8:15 p.m. to 10:15 p.m., talking and spending time around various inmate bunks. At 10:18 p.m. he got onto his bunk with his back to the wall and window area. At 10:22, he slumped onto his bed several times, and after 10:24, Dalton didn't move again. A corrections officer checking the area stopped and looked at Dalton around 5:35 a.m., but didn't seem to notice anything was wrong. Instead, his body was discovered by multiple inmates just before 7 a.m. By that time, he was cold, and his face was blue and purple, according to the investigative report. One inmate said the position of his face looked like he'd been trying to get air. Doc officers and medical staff attempted to revive Dalton, but he never regained consciousness. More questions, few answers. Dalton's family is struggling to make sense of his death. In the investigative report, several inmates state that Dalton was upset that night over his brother's death and his mom being in the hospital, neither of which was true. Whether the inmates misunderstood Dalton, or FDLE got it wrong, they don't know. The FDLE report also doesn't include a statement from the inmate who first contacted William about his brother's death, on a contraband cell phone. The inmate, who said he was the first to find Dalton, was put in solitary confinement after the death, William was told. One thing William believes for certain is that Dalton would still be alive if he hadn't been taken back to CCI. "We wanted to get him somewhere safe," he said. "Whenever my mom called him, they basically laughed at her." Dalton's mom, Kathy Dalton, still has emails saved from her attempts to notify Doc about concerns for her son's safety. "I was fighting to keep him anywhere but Charlotte," she said. Dalton had the gene for drugs, she said, and he told her once on the phone that he tried what Dad used to do, heroin. She didn't know why, and she wishes whoever provided it would be held accountable. Doc did not answer whether an attempt was made to discover where the drugs Dalton overdosed on came from and whether anyone would be held accountable. The FDLE case, once closed, was reviewed by the State Attorney's Office for the 20th Judicial Circuit, who concluded that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. Doc officials would not comment on the specifics of Dalton's case, but stated that combating contraband is a top priority. The department has recently acquired new technology to help combat the movement and introduction of contraband, one of the enhancements being the use of X-ray machines at all of our staff and visitor entrance points, a Doc spokesperson said in an email. Additionally, in April 2016, Doc created the Office of Intelligence to better integrate intelligence-led corrections and formulate data-driven analytics to aid in operations throughout Doc's institutions. According to a spokesperson, the new office is taking an innovative approach at examining and improving some of our internal processes related to the introduction and control of contraband within our institutions. Email, aeasker@sun-herald.com. Sun file photo. Charlotte Correctional Institution.
Hello, my name is Robert Tigro. On August 24th, 2015, I cleaned up a murder scene inside the Charlotte County Jail in the medical wing of the jail. I had been to Charlotte County Jail on a couple separate occasions for misdemeanor charges, and months precipitating the murder, I filed a grievance on the 1st of October 2014. I am requesting to speak to someone about filing grievances against deputies for being a witness to unlawful acts and acts that are in direct violation of Florida model jail standards, as well as procedural policy of this institution. When I got this inmate request back, I was told that you need to provide names, dates, times of violations in writing. You have documented this, you will be interviewed. I never filled anything out, and that's part of the reason why I'm here today. People have died, people have gotten hurt, and it's absolutely horrific of what's going on inside Charlotte County Jail, as well as other jails around the nation. There's a lot here, so bear with me, guys. I know you guys all have questions and comments and want to have something to say. The violations in the jail are just so numerous that I can't even get into them all. I'm hoping that one day the people who I need to talk to will come and find me. This is why I'm making this video. I want everybody to know that for the last couple years of my life, I haven't just been hanging around and wasting time. I've been trying to help people and get them to the point where they can talk about some of this stuff too. The officer that was probably one of the top leading instigators in the death of Greg Ireland was an officer by the name of Burnett, Michael Burnett. I've had instances with him and other officers. I have about 40-something pages here of very, very detailed writing, times, dates, names. It's all in very small print. Alright, all of this I would like to go over with somebody. All of it. Now, before Greg Ireland was killed, long before Greg Ireland was killed, they were torturing others in the medical wing of the jail. It was so bad that when they took me out of the medical wing of the jail and put me in general population, I realized that the rest of the jail wasn't as bad as the medical wing. In the medical wing, they can get away with telling people you're crazy. They can take off their name badges and tell you a different name. So if you file a grievance, they can say it wasn't them because you're crazy and it wasn't your name that they filed it. So I snuck pens inside my socks and told them that I was having thoughts of suicide. I didn't even say suicide, but that's all I had to say. And they took me back to the medical part of the jail. When they put me inside the cell, I took off my clothes and shook out the socks, and I kept the pens. and there was a camera in the cell, and I literally had to hide from the camera and the officers while I was keeping these pieces of paper, which these pieces of paper are spoons that they give you to eat off of when you're in a turtle suit or on suicide watch, or direct observation is what they like to call it. And these paper spoons is what I wrote on while I was in there, and I had to hide them until I got out, which was like a week the second time. I kept all this stuff documented, and I carried it with me through the jail. I did other things. I tried getting letters out to people. Lawyers and newspaper writers. I tried sending them to my public defender and legal mail so nobody could see them. And I tried getting the word out to so many people over the past couple of years, and it's just not working, and that's why I am here. It's really a crazy long story. There are other people involved. There are other people that I'm protecting. There is so much going on in the world all around us that we really don't even pay attention to, and it's time to start paying attention, because there's a lot of people hurting out there, and there's a lot of people that really can't trust the police because they've seen what the police do. And I know there's a lot of people out there that tell me all cops aren't bad, and you know what? I would love for a good cop to prove that to me by coming forward and talking about a bad cop, because really it's the only way that anybody's ever going to prove it to me, because it's just that bad. Really, it's bad, people. So in the months that I was documenting all of this stuff, I witnessed behavior on the parts of law enforcement and administrators inside the jail. I witnessed how they cleaned up before inspections. I saw how they changed statements, and they worked together to falsify their reports to justify what they did. It's all in my documentation, and I wrote it all down, what I heard them saying word for word, so that one day I could prove to you what I am telling you, because if I didn't hear them planning this out word for word, I would have absolutely no idea as to what those reports say. So I'm trying to give everybody a basis as to what's going on in Charlotte County. There's going to be several videos probably. I have so many stories to tell, and I just can't really hang on to these stories no more, because it's keeping me from being a better person and being who I am. And there's a lot of people suffering out there because they don't know what happened to their family members. The father of Greg Ireland, I feel so horrible for you. So horrible for you. And I wish there was something that I could have done or said to him. I handed the tray with the food, the last bologna sandwich that your son ate before they killed him. It was quiet in there that day. It was relatively peaceful. No, I can't even say that. There was some stuff going on during the day, but it wasn't as bad as some of the stuff that goes on at night. And I know, from what I understand, you were in the jail waiting there to pick up your son. Your son was there on a DUI. It was a $500 bond, and from what I understood, you were in the jail waiting for him to come out the doors when you were told that he was going to a hospital. I wasn't in the cell block that night, but I could see in the scene when I went in to work in the medical wing the next day. There was blood everywhere. Everywhere there was blood. There was taser wire all over the place. The first and second floor were just covered in blood and taser wire and latex gloves, and I had absolutely no idea what I was walking into when I was going there, and I wasn't even supposed to be there because I was supposed to be going to court that morning. Bear with me, guys. There's a lot of people out there that are going to need help. They're going to need support. I mean, I've never really been so much worried about me as I have been about everybody else that's involved in this, because they're doing good now, but they were in bad shape before, and they're going to need your help. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I walk into the pod, medical pod, C1 is what they called it, and it was just how I described, with the blood and the gloves and the oxygen tanks and the taser wires everywhere. There was screaming from some of the cells about the officers being murderers. There was probably, I want to say, anywhere from 45 to 55, 56 people in the pod that night. Some people were so scared they couldn't even come to the door to take their food. And these people are out there, and they know what happened. I was in there for a short period in the morning, and then I left. But as I was in there, I could see the blood stains from where they let his head hit the ground repeatedly as they drug him from the top floor down the stairs, and there was blood and hair in the stairs, and there was no call for it. There was none. In my paperwork that I have written about the abuses, there is so many instances where one of your trained officers, Bill, this is for you, Bill Prummell, this is for you. Seriously, you got trained, quality, professional officers who are killing and torturing people. I know you got rid of Burnett, but there are others. And you know that, and I know that, and now the whole rest of the community knows that, and you got to start taking steps to stopping what's going on, because the officer that you fired probably isn't going to stay in this area. He's probably going to go to another jail or another police department and work somewhere else and do the same thing again to somebody else's child, brother, father, and it's not cool anymore. It's got to stop. It was never cool to begin with, but it's got to stop. So that's what this is. All you guys watching, you know who I am. Some of you guys know my story, some of you guys don't. But this is what I've been doing for the last couple of years. If you guys got any questions, my phone keeps telling me it's overheating. Is there anything that you guys need to say? I'm going to be posting this video online. I'm going to put pictures in the comments with some of my information that I have for you. You guys really got to share this and tell people about it, because it's not right. There was one man in a cell who was in there for a DUI. His father was in the jail, paid his bond, waiting to pick him up. and 8 officers beat and tased this man until he was injured to the point where he died. And there was no call for any of it. None. None. And the whole actions that happened that night, everything that happened that night was just wrong. There's people that can tell you, that are here today, that can tell you that we were actually praying for the people in the medical wing of the jail the night that they killed them, because we knew how bad it was in the medical wing of the jail. I feel a lot better telling you guys this. I really do. I know it's probably upsetting some of you, and I know a lot of you guys might be worried about me or something of that. I'm usually pretty good. For the law enforcement out there, you guys hear my name. My name is Robert Tigro. I won't be cuffing up for none of you for no reason, no how. I won't give you a reason to hurt me. I don't carry any weapons. And that's it. I'm going to be waiting for investigators and people from the news media who want to talk about this, who want to fix this problem that we have in not only Charlotte County, but other communities across the country. And we really need to change the jails. We need to change the hiring policy for some of the officers. We got rid of the corruption. It's just such a bogus bullshit thing to wake up and be in fear of law enforcement and the rest of the people in your community that don't even know why you don't like cops. So just bear with me and expect to see more. I'm going to be trying to make a video every day about a story. I'll pick one out. There are so many stories. There was a woman that they used to torture. They used to strap her into a chair. The one day they strapped her into the chair. They knew she was being released from the jail, and they wanted to strap her into the chair, and they strapped her into the chair, and they tightened the belt so tight, and the woman still sang. She sang, and it really rocked the whole block of the jail. She sang "Stand By Me." Those of you out there know who she is. God bless you. I hope you're still singing. There are so many people that I've tried to help along the way. Some of them I couldn't help. Some people died, and it kills me. And there are so many stories that are wrapped up in all of this, and it's going to take a minute for it to get out. So that's all I can talk about for right now. So just, I love you guys. Just tell everybody it's got to stop, and they should have expected this a long time ago. They really should. I mean, I'm going to go into great detail in the later videos, but it needs to stop. I love you guys. Just take care of yourselves and be good to one another.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County COPWATCH with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. but my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it. 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea, too, that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.